Welcome back to The Edge. Google My Business is adding messaging to desktop users. The scroll to text feature is starting to show up on more and more product results. And now live, Google passage ranking could actually affect up to 7% of search queries. You're listening to news from The Edge for the week of February 15th, 2021 here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
All right, thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks of Site Strategics. Every week, we bring you news from The Edge. Amazing guests to talk with and chat with about digital marketing topics. Each week, we're covering the SEO and digital marketing news, separate from our weekly interview. So we're getting more news to you more quickly on a regular basis. So check out all the shows, all the information that we provide for you, digital marketing aficionado, over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. This is the Site Strategics digital news desk here for Edge of the Web. And joining me this week to get his take on it, and he's been a regular here recently, is Morty Oberstein's SEO liaison of Wix. How you doing, Morty?
Great. I thought I liked the intro. I thought for a second I was new. We haven't been doing this together for 3 months?
Is it been 3 months?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm scarred.
I blacked it all out.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a blur. It's an Oberstein blur. Kind of like an Overton window. It's like an Oberstein blur.
This is going in a wrong wormhole, buddy.
Sorry, I'm up to my fourth, almost like a pot of coffee. Check this thing out. This is a massive mug.
Hey, that's a big mug.
It's a big honking mug.
It fit a whole bag of coffee in there.
I'm saying. I'm using that. I'm down with the Black Rifle coffee nowadays, and I tell you what, it is awesome. It goes to support the troops, and it is high velocity.
Clearly having an impact on you.
It truly is. Well, it keeps me going, So what's going on in Morty's world?
For real?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're asking me?
I am.
The
other Morty.
The other Morty, huh? Oh, my other personality. Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's a few, right?
There's a few of us. We announced officially the Wix SEO Advisory Board.
Yeah, very good.
Which is amazing. Big stuff, big names, advising Wix on how to do product development or input on product development for the continual evolvement of Wix as a platform for doing SEO.
Well, I got a question for you. Have you seen
Sure.
any other CMS or content management system kind of reach out to the SEO community? I mean, there's a lot of closed systems out there. Have you ever seen that initiative actually done with some top SEOs?
Nope.
It's probably the first time we've actually seen that.
That's something interesting, right?
Yeah, it really is. Congress should absolutely take a hint from this. But go ahead.
People should.
Yeah.
But hey, first one.
Very
Just remember,
good.
You look back years from now, everyone's doing this right here. First one, Wix.
That's right. Well, I mean, there should be SEOs brought to the helm of product development every once in a while, because you could certainly there's a number of companies that could very well benefit from that. So yeah, you're a pioneer there. Very good.
We call them many things, never a pioneer, but I'll take it.
Or a SEO cat wrangler, right? Do you have like a taser? A little cattle prod?
More than one.
Well, Morty's with us every week, so we can actually jump in and take on this week's news inside of SEO, inside of digital marketing, and the like. So we certainly ask you to go check out our earlier episodes, because we're tearing it up and getting into some weeds here or there, right? But with that, let's get into our first article here from Search Engine Journal from Rebecca Dunn. GMB messaging for desktop is now rolling out. Google My Business is rolling out messaging for desktop users with a rise of zero-click search and heightened customer expectations around brand responsiveness. It's no surprise that business messaging function is actually coming to desktop. So if you're not up on what the messaging function was or has been as of late, is that Google My Business has had their app deployed where you can actually engage with customers, and customers can certainly ask questions, and you're having messages directly dialed into your app. Well, they're finally rolling it to the desktop, which makes a whole lot of sense. And why didn't they do this to begin with, as opposed to move you into an app, especially since I'll just let you guys know this is that if you have your app, you're not logged into all the potential clients that you could be working with if you're actually working as an agency. So it's kind of a closed door. You have to have it tied into the account owner's app. So that kind of gets you out of the pocket whenever you're trying to consult with a company. But that said, having a desktop version of this gives a lot more interactivity to be able to directly connect with those consumers. So have you actually experienced this at all, Morty?
No, ironically, I don't have any local SEO. I'm only international SEO.
Wow, he just kind of leveled up there, didn't he?
I just, I'm an elitist.
I only do intergalactic SEO.
Oh,
with my space laser. Ironically, I'm with you. I don't know why they didn't do this first. The only thought that I have on why they didn't do this first is they kind of think, well, if you're a business owner of a small business, you're out and about, you're in your store, you can answer quickly on your phone.
Sure.
What I think they're trying to do, and I think this ties into, you can edit your listing on the actual SERP itself, is trying to turn Google My Business into an actual a hub or resource for doing business.
Yep.
So business owners audit, okay, this is my platform for doing business online. I have multiple platforms, be it Facebook or whatever. Google is now one of my platforms. When having an actual platform where you sit down at your computer and you answer messages, kind of makes it feel more like a platform.
Absolutely. Well, you also there's a lot of different features and functions inside of Google My Business. That the messaging is certainly one of them, but on top of everything, you have lead forms that are coming through. You have exclusive call to clicks inside of the GMB platform. So they're absolutely wanting that business owner to rely more on that GMB, that local SEO, that local listing than ever before. And we're losing more and more traction or visibility of our own sites where we control the conversions because of these new interactions. And that's what Google's been leaning towards this entire time. Yeah.
Yeah, they really want it to be a place where you feel like this is where I do business.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, our Google My Business postings and interactivity through the postings and events and what have you for our local clients far surpass the engagement on Facebook because of the closed environment. You're seeing those reviews, you're seeing the images from the clients and the customers, as well as the business images. All that is a good deal more visible from that organic query than a kind of a brand relationship inside of Facebook. So it's a powerful platform in that regard.
Yeah, look, they're really trying to design it in a way where it feels like this is where you can show off who you are. I have my posts, I have the Q&A you can answer. You can answer your own questions in there, your reviews, your images, and all sorts of things you can do with images now. It's a place to show off your business, which is what they want it to be.
Correct. Absolutely. So a couple key things about this article, and certainly have it in the notes here, is Google can actually revoke business messaging. So first you have to opt into it, and you go to your business listings and be able to allow messaging to happen. And again, you can always pick it up at the app level as well as the desktop now, but Google can actually revoke that messaging. Be sure to respond to messages inside of 24 hours, or Google may actually revoke the access to the tool. And that's actually interesting as well, because they don't want to have their users of the platform go unserviced, so to speak. So you got to be on the stick. So whether or not you're managing those messages from the desktop, make sure that you have somebody at the helm there. It's kind of like live chat in a way, is that people expect that response. I had a great experience when I was looking for repairing my transmission, a local business down here on the south side of Indianapolis. That owner was literally responding in 15 minutes after I posted a message, which was fantastic. But you got to be there, and you got to commit to that as one of your inbounds that you're constantly watching. Just like the lead forms that come in, you got to respond to it quickly. But Google's going to actually take it away if you don't manage it correctly. So with great power comes great responsibility, right?
It's like social. It's social. How many times are you going to do support or ask for support on social media now? All right, you get angry, you go to social.
Yeah.
You get angry, you go to Google. There's a message button there. Why fill out a form to a random email?
I don't know. No. I mean, you're absolutely right. Is that there's much more of a responsive nature that people are coming to expect there. You also need to be controlling illegitimate and or offensive messages. So you need to actually make sure that you're watching that and be able to report spam and block certain messages. So there's a feedback loop on this as well that Google's paying attention to. So pretty darn good article regarding these functions. So go check it out. If you are in a local business, you're getting even closer to your consumer through those search queries. They're going to be reaching out and connecting with you. It's an untapped channel of new lead generation. So kudos to them, but at the same time, we'd just love them to get to our website more quickly. You know,
what's a website?
Exactly. It's a Google My Business now.
There's a Wix guy.
All right, second article that we want to cover today, and this is from Barry Schwartz over at Search Engine Roundtable. I cannot remember the last time we didn't have an article from Barry Schwartz on this show. Just gonna let you know that.
Did that actually ever happen?
It did in the early days of Edge. Yeah, it's true. And then we just kind of leaned into buriedom. You know?
Yeah, it's the Barry wormhole.
It's always easy to find news from Barry.
That's right. You got to see our featured image on Edge News from last week. We have a trifecta, Barry trifecta, up there. So check that out. Anyway, I haven't heard back whether he liked it or not, so we'll soon see. From Search Engine Roundtable, Google Search scroll to text on free product results. Google is actually expanding the scroll to text feature it has on featured snippets and some other search elements to the free top product listing box. The scroll to text feature is when you click on a search result in Google, and Google then takes you to the web page and scrolls you down the page to the specific passage and highlights the relevant block of content. And I think Jacobs actually is demonstrating this on screen. There's an animated GIF there on the page. So how do you find this feature? Is it beneficial or not? Morty, what do you think about that?
Angering.
Why is that?
Angry.
Why are you angry about scroll to text?
You ever see that old Chris Farley skit when he's at a restaurant and they do a hidden camera commercial?
No.
It all goes wrong. And he gets great skin. And they ask him, how do you feel now? He goes, angry. So this is the original instance of this was for feature snippets, for paragraph feature snippets, right? You still live for this. In this case, you're seeing a review. Mm-hmm. And the whole page is a review. It's a review website reviewing the product.
Sure.
So when the user clicks on the PLA into or whatever product carousel that was onto the page, do they really want that one snippet of review that was in the carousel, or do they want to look at the full review?
Full review. It really is contextual, right? No pun intended.
Right. Full review. Right, but what Google's doing here is this is what I don't like. I think it's very subtle. Mm-hmm. So what happens here? You jump to the page, you see the snippet of review, and you lose all of that nuanced detail that the site's offering. In other words, the site is authoritative, is offering a lot of details, blah blah blah, and you sort of lose that. And it comes across as if Google's saying, "Hey, you want the answer to this? You want to see the review to this? We'll give it to you," and you lose the feeling. The user loses the feeling that the site gave it to you, and that makes me angry.
Oh wow!
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's kind of conditioning the user to that additional brand loyalty for Google. Is that, hey, I'll go pick this up for you and give it to you. Don't look at the rest of the website. Site.
You don't even see if there's no sticky header there. You don't even see the site's name or logo anywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I get it for a featured snippet why that might make sense. You're looking specifically for that snippet of content, but there's no reason for it in this particular instance. So this injustice, to quote the Big Lebowski, it will not stand. It will not stand.
Would you like a slower scroll? Are you anti-scroll to text completely?
I'm not. It makes sense for the featured snippet. Not that I like it there either.
Sure.
Because again, it's also Google taking over your URL. Did you tell Google they could adjust your URL and scroll them down the page like this? Whose site is this?
Google, you guys can do anything to our website that you want to. This is Morty talking, not Aaron. All right.
But
no, you're
also
right.
The
you're
yellow.
Right.
Maybe I don't want yellow. Maybe I don't know. Maybe my site is about for real. Let's say my site is about why yellow sucks, and you scroll to text yellow on my site.
I think the niche market in that particular.
It's the principle.
It
of the
is
matter.
okay.
So
So
what's going to happen if
principle
all
of the
your
matter.
text is yellow, though?
yeah, you got yellow text.
That's the way
Yeah,
to get
let's say a
around this,
person has-
Morty. An
I
all
don't-
yellow text website.
Also,
Wow.
also true, but also let's say, hey, accessibility. And let's say there's an issue with the contrast.
All right.
No, for real.
Yeah, yeah.
It's harder to read that highlight. That's a real accessibility issue. I
Yep.
don't know why Google's using that dark yellow.
Oh my gosh, he's just unpacking a
I'll just
lot.
go.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
By the way, second instance in a week where Google's taking over your site more because they came out and talked about Core Web Vitals
Yep.
and said, hey, we might consider pages that you have marked as no index as part of your Core Web Vital profile. But I told you not to crawl those pages.
Well, that was more of a more like a guideline, not a rule, right?
You're right. That might be the case. It was very vague. But again, whose site is it? Is it Google's site or is it your site? Who told Google to add those parameters on and scroll them down to the page on my URL?
I don't know. I think Barry told him.
Barry, damn it, Barry. Told Barry.
No, I told him. Jeez. No, you're absolutely right. Is that there's more and more interactivity and control over pieces of content on your site, and the next article is actually even more oriented towards that. But I mean, there's certainly, can you control it? First and foremost, are they giving you the ability to scroll to text? I think I actually caught something of a meta call, a coding call to be able to actually restrict that. You can actually no index certain passages and certain excerpts on your content, but I don't know if you can actually forcibly tell them not to.
I think it's the color. I think you can opt out of the highlight.
Oh,
But I
okay.
don't think you can opt out of the scroll, or maybe it's the reverse. That wouldn't make any sense. So it would have to be the scroll, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
someone said, Jacob, fact check it.
While we're live, all right. So
Gosh.
nothing else to pay attention to. We need to fact check.
Doing
right?
it live.
Absolutely.
We're doing it live.
So we'll check that out. But are we going to be seeing more and more control over your content? I mean, it's the same scenario that we were just talking about before. As Google My Business wants you to stay in Google My Business as a platform, right? So the consumers now. They launched AMP out so long ago, and that was a full control of the content and the visibility and anything that had to
the
do with
URL.
conversion. Exactly. I mean, they basically plucked the site content and moved it into their own trappings that had no conversion.
I believe this belongs to me.
Exactly. Yoink. But now, I mean, we're seeing that more and more control over different areas of your content to feed the rich snippet beast, right?
Yep. Oh, can I add on? Can I add into my ranting?
Go for
here?
it. Yeah, there we go.
But with the scroll to text plus highlight, you could be scrolling right past some CTAs or ads that you have there. as
Oh,
well.
that was a softball to you, wasn't it? Yeah, you're
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
right. If they're actually skipping past what you intentionally put at the header of your site, or even better, stronger information, persuasive information above this particular excerpt, yeah, they're just kind of scrolling right on by.
So I found this live.
Okay, cool.
It might work.
We got opting out for privacy and product compatibility reasons. Web pages may wish to disable scrolling to text fragment. To allow web pages to opt out, browsers need to add a new document policy named forum-load-at-top.
Force
Force,
load
okay.
at top.
Got it.
Great. So again, why it should be opt in?
We absolutely,
opt-in.
it should be opt-in. I want to be able to scroll to text on the user side, not for your site to opt out of.
It's like cookies. Do I really have to opt out?
Oh, wait. That was a browser. It wasn't even web developers. That was about the browser that was navigating, right? Or was this actually we can control this at the web dev level?
This is, I think this
Now I
is
gotta check
this
this
is how you
out.
control at the web dev level.
Huh. Because I saw browsers and I started translating that as customers or users. Yeah, I mean, he just clued me into that opt-in,
Right.
opt-out.
It does say browsers need to add the new policy.
All right. Well, meanwhile, while we're doing that research, just want to
Yeah.
let you know.
There's a tweet back from hold on. I think it's Danny Sullivan saying that the opt out That's an wait. That's not an opt-out for highlighting that's been described. We don't have an opt-out for that, other than opting out of featured snippets. This goes back to June 2020.
Oh.
So this one's from October, but it does say browsers need to add a new document policy, and then web developers could then add the document policy to the header. So
right, force load at top. Right.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So if you want your users that are coming from search to actually see the top of your page, now they're kind of rewarding you with a featured snippet, but they're skipping right past things. So you have the ability to force them. But is that a signal to ignore my content for featured snippet?
No, I don't think so.
It wouldn't be. But is there kind of a passive?
Who knows? I mean, who knows? I think Danny said at that point that it wouldn't.
All right. Well, I'd love to see a test on this. I truly would.
Good. Yeah, I was just going to say that would be an interesting case study.
Absolutely. All right, so let's wrap this thing up real quick. I wanted to swing back over to AHREFS, a valued sponsor of the show. It's been a continued sponsor for the last year and a half, I think, so we certainly appreciate that long run. If you haven't checked out AHREFS, go check them out today, ahrefs.com. They make competitive analysis very, very easy. Their tools show you how your competitors are actually getting traffic from Google and why. You can see the pages, the content, and the keywords that they're ranking for, as well as the links that are bringing them that authority. From there, you can replicate and improve on their strategies. So check that out. If you're not getting significant search traffic, the AHREFS tools can also find topics worth creating page content on. So check all that out over at ahrefs.com. Today, they actually have a 7 days for $7 promotion, and it shows you the entire tool, a non-encrypted version of it, so it's everything you want to see in AHREFS. And once you get there, I'm not going to guarantee anything, but it's fantastic, and it's a panorama of online SEO marketing tools. So go check that out. Tell them that we sent you. All right. So third article is very similar to what we were talking about with our featured snippets, but this is a little bit deeper space here from Search Engine Land over at Barry Schwartz again. Google passage rankings now live in U.S. English search results. So in October 2020, Google announced passage indexing, a new way of Google ranking specific pages from a web page in search. Google has actually updated us that page ranking, as they are now properly calling it, went live on Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. In the afternoon Pacific time for queries in the U.S. and English. Google said passage ranking will affect 7% of search queries across all languages when fully rolled out globally. So it is now live in the U.S. English results, so it should have about 7% impact on all U.S. English search results. So if your rankings have changed in the past 24 hours or so, it might be related to this change. All right. So, good deep dive here. Let's check this out. First and foremost, Morty, what the heck is passage ranking?
Oh, man. Okay, so the original announcement of this was probably one of the worst announcements I've seen Google put out there, because they originally called it passage indexing, but it had nothing to do with indexing.
Correct.
What it seemed like, and I think the way a lot of people took it, and maybe the way I took it, I think I'm wrong about this, is that, okay, so like the way they describe it is, imagine you have like a query, of a very specific query, and there's, 1 or 2 lines in the piece of content on the page that talks about this, and Google is now able to say, hey, this one line answers that query, so we're going to rank this page higher for this query now because, hey, that one line.
So are these deep dives, long tails, almost sentence search queries? That's what we're talking about here?
It seems, yeah, for like really specific long tail kind of queries.
Right.
And then there's a whole question, how does this thing look? What's it going to look like? Is it going to be a feature snippet? Because the example that Google gave made it look like the ranking, the passage ranking result looks different than the average result. And there's a whole thing that, no, it doesn't look any different.
Right.
And then there was a whole thing, okay, so it doesn't look any different, but how are you going to know where, like, it's one line that makes this relevant? You have to read through the whole page. Maybe scroll of text with highlight makes sense here. Maybe it'll be in the meta description. But I was just reading through before this show, an article from Barry Schwartz over at SE Roundtable.
Yep. Who knew?
About scroll to text impacting passages, or the lack thereof, because it won't impact passages. And I'm reading through an old tweet from Danny Sullivan from a few months ago, and he's saying, and he quote, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
It's in one of my tabs. It's Barry Schwartz asking about the way it's going to look. Is it going to look like a featured snippet? Blah, blah, blah. And Danny goes, again, I think you misunderstand the point of passage ranking. It's not about finding somehow the most relevant part of the page for display. It's about understanding multiple parts of a page to understand how to rank it better. In other words, what I think passage ranking actually is Google saying, hey, they're looking at like the various snippets on the page, the passages on the page,
Right.
and saying, okay, now we're going to break it down by passage, look at it by passage, and then rank it accordingly. Now that we better understand the really small snippets of content on this page better, which is kind of makes sense why they would describe that as indexing initially, right? Because it sounds like, all right, they're looking at the passage, understanding the page is based on the passage, so that's sort of like indexing, but it's not.
Right.
They're understanding it based on the passages and then understanding the page overall based on that passage analysis, if you want to call it that.
Okay. So indexing is one thing, ranking is another. So they're ranking passages, and that shows you that they're also looking at the other passages on that page and kind of the relative content, the building of authority on that page. So they're looking at pages in a whole different light. It's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like micro semantic SEO, so to speak, is what we've been talking about semantic SEO from a relationship of pages and concepts, right? They're actually getting down to the passages and the concepts that they have surrounding that particular indexed or that particular ranking passage, and more valuable content that surrounds it, because they're now indexing the different passages at that micro level, actually could very well rank that entire passage.
Right. So they're not actually indexing it, but they're understanding it based on those individual passages and formulating, there we go, an understanding of what the page is talking about at a very granular level.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
So Jacob, I threw another link in our show notes doc, and it was actually a cross link from the original article going over to, I believe it was the article written in October by Barry, regarding passage indexing, and they actually gave a demonstration on the mobile side of things visually, if you want to scroll down there, of what it looked like before and then what it looked like after. And obviously our audio audience can't see this, but we certainly will put that in the show note links as well.
We promise it's pretty.
It is pretty. It's much pretty.
Right.
But
that's the whole thing. Danny said that was a bad example because it won't look any different. But the image they show you makes it look like it's going to be different.
So I'm still waiting for an actual number of examples of passage indexing, just so we can see the real estate, because we've also been trained on featured snippets, and you also caught that they were changing some of the featured snippet layout here just last week. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, there were a few. There was a few changes. Some of the borders were actually removed off.
Oh,
of
the borders. That's a test been going on for a while.
Oh,
That's becoming more popular. Yes. I'm sorry. How would I?
As Barry would say,
I didn't know about our featured snippet test.
As Barry would say, that's old.
It's old.
That's not new.
Old.
All right, so watch that. Certainly, you want to be able to see your own passages. There's also the entire perspective of click-through improvements on a passage ranking as opposed to the conventional SERP that you've got. So there's a whole nother mess, hell of beans out there regarding the value of that passage ranking as well, right?
I mean, the truth is, like, if it looks the same, it's just a matter of relevancy. You'll rank higher. Google's John Mueller said at one point, like, you don't have to do anything. I think that's the point about this, is that they're trying to find more relevant content than hasn't been SEO'd.
Yep.
Right. So, SEO, ironically, when this came out originally, SEOs were like, all right, let's structure the page like way more, have all sorts of headers so Google can better understand the passages.
Right.
But that's kind of not the point. The point is that they're able to better understand the passages where there's a lack of, for good reason, a lack of structure.
So they're looking for, if you've got non sequitur content surrounding it, or all the bait and switches that are out there, your content's not going to rank because it actually knows the neighborhood of content on that page to a much greater degree.
Yep.
All right.
Look, there's content that's not meant to be structured. Would you structure a thesis the same way you would structure a page of 5 ways to build backlinks? No.
So SEO'd is now a verb, right? It's an action item as opposed to a thing. It's now an active verb, according to Morty here, right?
Yeah, it's the action of taking good content and making it crap to try to appease a search engine. You've SEO'd your content.
You don't want to SEO anything, all right? You want to be able to create better and more usable content for your online users, right? That's what SEO is really about nowadays, right?
Do you ever wish we could just know exactly what Morty's thinking? Like, I wish you'd just tell us.
Right now, I'm thinking that you can also use it as, oh, I've been SEO'd. Like I'm a client. I just got SEO'd. They've ruined my content by adding.
Do you remember the days before getting SEO'd? Those were the days. Okay, so that's a great lead-in for SEO chat. Hashtag SEO chat. You got a topic this week.
That's right.
It's not about being SEO'd, right? Because I'm sure.
No. It's the opposite. You guys were there last week and I missed it. I wasn't around the one time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't read into that at all, Morty.
Wow. Oh, I didn't take it personally. Maybe I should have.
Maybe you should have.
Wow. I didn't. You guys are horrible people.
Which really are.
That's terrible.
No, it was a good conversation. It was a good conversation.
Can I cry on air?
Yeah, you can, but we'll fix it in post.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how was SEO chat last week?
It was good. It was good. It was well hosted by Caroline, and it was a good discussion about how to ask for a raise inside of. See, I was actually going to tell you, hey, I did pay attention because I was there and was listening.
That's right.
You know what the
Jacob? Did you ask for a raise?
Not yet.
no, he didn't because he didn't know how to. Right
now, I know.
Now he does.
I as a business owner, I contributed into that as well, and shared a little bit of insight into how to make yourself valuable and worthy of investment.
Oh, that's a dig.
I'm saying. Well,
That's
I mean,
a dig.
if you're expecting a raise, right, then alternatively, conversely, the business owner expects to have loyalty, expects to have a person that can invest in long term, right?
Right. Oh, I see why he didn't get the raise now.
I'm too busy getting Bernie into the studio.
You'll have a
Well, check out this week's SEO chat with Debbie Norton at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Cool.
Thursday. As we talk about SEO for small businesses.
And they don't get SEO'd.
And how not to SEO your small business so they don't feel SEO'd.
I think we're kind of on the edge of definition here. Get it? Meat plug there.
Ooh, edge.
Oh,
That's
God,
edgy.
That is terrible. All right. Well, we certainly will do our best to actually jump into the SEO chat. Hashtag SEO chat, 1 p.m. Eastern, each and every Thursday. Check it out. And we'll certainly be there if Morty's not. So
I'm not telling you then if I'll be there or not.
it'll be like a landmine. Damn, there's a Morty. Very cool. No, we're getting engaged. We're making it part of our calendar, so a couple of can jump in there every once in a while. That's good conversation. It truly is. All right. Any final words for this week, Morty?
I'm not going to steal your thunder again. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
More than welcome. All right, so that's it for Edge News this week. Want to make sure that you check out our second part of the Jason Baynard interview. Had a great time with him talking about semantic SEO and, more importantly, brand SERPs. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and get updated whenever we drop some new video and content out there from all of us over at Edge. Hey, stay safe, stay well, stay off the roads if you're getting hit by the winter blizzards out there, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.